Hello, today we will show you 10 secrets on coronavirus that doctors could not solve. Subscribe to the channel and make the bell button to support us with admiration. 10 Why do young people, in favor of people, die too? One of the most disturbing parts of the epidemic is a disproportionately high death rate among older adults. This allows the virus to spread in practice without being detected between the younger and less vulnerable parts of the population. You might think this is a good thing, but it isn't. Cov-2 SARS can lie flat without being detected and spread widely, until it reaches the oldest hosts and is destroyed. If the symptoms were more severe and detectable in their early stages, the virus would have had much more difficulty reaching its old targets. This does not mean that younger people are immune, because so many of them have died from the virus as well. It's something we don't quite understand yet. According to our current understanding of the epidemic, healthy and younger people should not develop more serious symptoms. It is a big part of the biggest question about how the virus affects different people in several different ways, and answering it is crucial to preventing future outbreaks of the disease, which can be fatal. 9 Can we infect animals? Despite the somewhat long list of things we still don't know about COVID-19, we know that they came from animals. There is still intense controversy over the exact animal that it was, with banulin, bats and even poultry as potential suspects, although we assume researchers will reach animals once humans are finished. What confuses scientists is how the mutated human form of the virus now transmits to animals, something that no one expected. Among wild animals, a tiger in the Bronx Zoo was recently diagnosed with the COVID-19 breed, along with many other species that started showing similar symptoms. While it is not the only case of its kind, all other cases of human-to-animal transmission include domestic pets. This is the first time that SARS-CoV-2 has infected a wild animal breed, and no one knows how. Our best guess is that it came from an infected zoo worker without any symptoms. If this is the case, you should move to other animals as well. No other animal, not even other large cats, have had any symptoms so far, so it can only affect tigers for some reason. 8 We still don't understand its biology. It is true that the coronavirus is fascist and has made a mockery of the first world, which means that some of the world's best healthcare experts are currently working hard to try to understand how it works. But the worrying thing, though, didn't mean much, as the CoV-2 strain proved to be much more difficult than we imagined. At the heart of the problem is the big question about the basic biological structure of the virus. While we know it's like a spin ball, with nails meant to penetrate living tissue, exactly how that translates into an unrealistic spread rate that is still mysterious. Like many other relatively harmless viruses, including other coronavirus for strains, she has the ability to do that too. We simply do not know what coronavirus viruses that make them SARS, so human beings, or even, as we will talk shortly, how we learned their effect on humans at all. 7 Its development in humans is still poorly understood. The biology of the virus may help us better understand its effects, although there is still a question about how the CoV-2 strain can ever learn to infect humans. Although we are not strangers to coronaviruses that infect people, they always need some time to switch and learn to infect new hosts. The last SARS strain, also called classic SARS, needed some time to transform in the human body before causing any real damage. However, the current virus seems to know how to infection and kill from the start, because it has not changed in any significant way since the beginning of the epidemic. This does not mean that it does not mutate, although none of the mutations has been able to control the origin. Put it this way, the current CoV-2 strain does not need to change itself to infect more hosts yet, as it is already able to do so without much effort. 6 People experience the negative, then the positive. Caption. As we deal with tens of thousands of cases emerging around the world every day, doctors face a new, unexplained problem. Many patients who were previously found to be negative are experiencing positive results, questioning the methods and tools we use to detect them. While it is true that the virus can remain inactive for some time before it shows any symptoms, nearly every country actually takes this into consideration before releasing suspected patients. It requires guidelines from the World Health Organization that are now stigmatized and unfunded, and all patients who have recovered must test the HIV negative twice, with an interval of at least 24 hours between tests. Worryingly, some of these recovered patients are seeing positive results for the virus, and we have no idea why. According to some experts, the virus may have the ability to deactivate and reactivate itself within a human host, although it may also be patients who are reinfected from other sources after its release, or something else altogether. We just do not know. All these possibilities, though, are flying against the common notion that healed patients will develop a form of immunity to the virus as it works in most other diseases that we know, which in turn will strengthen the collective immunity of the entire population. Moreover, if the virus can re-energize itself on a whim, then what does it mean to recover even? 5. Spread without symptoms. If you study various epidemics in history, you will realize that the secret of the Chinese virus's success is not its high prevalence or even death. We have dealt with much more deadly diseases than this disease in the past. There is nowhere near Black Death or Spanish flu in death toll or infection rate. However, they are different in one way. People with their lives can develop mild symptoms or even no symptoms at all, which helps them reach more people than these diseases at all. In fact, it creates a community full of typhoid Maries, or perhaps more appropriate for our time, coronavirus Karens. But what scientists do not know is the number of these existing cases. At this point, it is clear that a known infection or common hotspot cannot be solely responsible for the flood of conditions that flow every minute. While there have been many cases in which patients have been tested for mild or no positive symptoms of the virus, these are the only cases that we have been able to test. People with a runny nose or cough tend to not think of it as a major problem, and according to many doctors and scientists, they may be the main reason behind the rapid spread of mind-boggling virus. 4. Why are children so good at fighting it? It is not breaking news that the new coronavirus affects everyone differently. The number of deaths is much higher for relatively older adults, which is widely explained by their weakened immunity. This sounds like an intuitive explanation, if not if you think the virus is actually ineffective for children. Compared to adult deaths, the number of child deaths, fortunately, was negligible. Although it is definitely great news, it is also inexplicable, as kids these days are not known for their high immunity to viruses or fitness. In fact, children are usually disproportionately more likely to develop respiratory viral infections, such as the common flu. However, many people who expected to have better mechanisms to fight the virus died from it more than children, and we have no idea why. 3. How does the disease recover? At this point, we have a fairly good idea of how the new coronavirus kills its victims, even if many of the circumstances that led to that point are still obscure. What we still don't quite understand is how does anyone recover? Usually for other diseases, patients recover by developing antibodies, which not only help them fight the current disease, but also secure their bodies against future attacks with the same strain. This immunity may not be permanent, as in the influenza virus, although the body still retains some signs of fighting the disease. This is not the case for surprisingly large numbers of recovered corona patients, and researchers are struggling to understand the cause. In one study done in China, most of the recovered people developed antibodies specifically for the Cov-2 SARS strain, which is how we expect it to work. However, 30% of the patients had no signs of those antibodies or any other related antibody, and it is unclear how their bodies recover at all. 2. The transmission line is not visible. Even if the number of cases worldwide grows at an alarming rate, we can at least track most of them to potential sources of the virus. Knowing that a hospital is a hot spot can help us isolate the area, contact each person who may be in his vicinity during the epidemic, and ensure that he will not contribute to any other infection. Despite the anxiety, we also see very few baffling cases from around the world without any clear pathway to infection. For example, a young child was injured in Gujarat, India and died although there are no known cases in that entire region. A California man became the first American to become infected with the virus without contacting any potential host. 1. How does it spread? Most countries around the world are doing their best to eliminate the infection rate, including taking tough measures like legally enforced closings and social divergence rules. However, it all depends on the assumption that everything we know about the virus is true. With more and more research emerging to us, we know very little, and our prevention techniques must constantly evolve if we have any chance to fight that. The biggest mystery of the coronavirus epidemic is that we simply have no idea how it has spread, and anyone who says it is just guessing. While it was previously believed that it could only spread through physical touch, new research suggests that the virus can remain floating in the air for longer than we previously believed, and does not require the spread of vectors such as cough drops. In a potentially related situation, an entire choir was infected with the virus despite maintaining each other at all times. Once again, it's best to guess they got it from the air, as we're still not clear about all of the ways it can spread. Thank you for watching.